Speaker from Shastri Nagar. Good morning, everyone. My name is Imran Nerlikar from Shastri Nagar MPS School, and I welcome all the students for today's session from MCGM department. Today, we are conducting this online session from MCGM department to continue your online studies. And in today's session, we are going to see 1.5. The topic 1.5, Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. So I request all the students to take out your books, course books, notebooks, pencil in your hand. Whenever I ask a question, unmute yourself and please reply. Please give me answers. First of all, you have to open your books, course books, page number 28, and notebooks. If you want to note something important, details from today's session, you can take out your notebooks. Okay. Shall we start? Okay. So we'll start. See all of you. First of all, we are going to start from the warming up session on page number 28. In warming up activities, the first question which is given is discuss in pairs and groups and make a list of the weapons used in the old times and in the present time. The weapons which were used in the past to fight, to defeat the enemy, the weapons which were used in the war in the olden time, and today the weapons, modern weapons which are used today, okay, to defeat the enemy. On my screen you can see there are some of the weapons which were used in the past. First of all, you can see long sword. Long sword. Swords were used in olden time. Sword, long sword is there. It is called as melee weapon. Battle axe is there. You can see battle axe. This one, dummy, wooden. It was made up of wood. To throw the stones, it was used. It was used to throw the big stones on the enemies at a long distance. It is called as catapult. Catapult. Then this is crossbow. Bow and arrows. Crossbow. It is called as crossbow. Next, it is cutlass. Cutlass. See, you can see cutlass. Dirk. Halberd. Indian lance. This is Indian lance, which we call as Bhala, Indian lance. This is also lance. This is also lance. So these were some of the weapons. Shield is there. Shield is there to protect yourself. To protect yourself, shield is there. Shield is also there. So these were some of the weapons which were used in the olden time. In the olden times. Today, in modern days, in modern times, the weapons which are used in modern time are, see, you can see on the screen. Machine gun is there, AK-47, and other machine guns are there. Cannon is there, cannon. Okay. See, bombs are there, grenade bombs are there, mortar, rockets are there, and rifles are there. Rifles are there, rockets are there. This mortar, it is used to kill the enemy at a long distance. And if the enemies are at a long distance or on the top of the hill, it is used to defeat the enemy. Along with this, there are some modern weapons. For example, pistols are there, pistols, tanks are there, fighter jets are there, missiles are there, then bombs are there, nuclear weapons are there. You can see today, nuclear weapons are also used in today's wars, battles. Only one it was used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you know the result. Totally, the human beings were destroyed. Not only human beings, all the creatures on the earth. For example, trees, animals, not a single creature was alive. And the result you have seen for 2 or 3 generations, even after the bomb was thrown, it were seen in the human beings, people. Understood? On the earth. So these are some of the modern weapons, list of some of the modern weapons which are used in the war today. Okay, the list of the weapons which were used in the olden time, past, and today. Everything is given here on the screen. After that, the second activity which is given is, imagine that you are captain of your school kabaddi team. Your final match is against a very strong team, and definitely you are going to lose. Your team members are sure that you are going to lose the match. Even though you have to play, you can't accept the defeat without playing. You have to play with that strong team. How will you boost their moral? How will you boost means how will you encourage them? Which words, which speech will you use to boost their moral? Working in pairs, prepare a short list of what can encourage the team. How can you encourage the team members? Okay. Now, if you have seen the movie Chak De India, in that movie, the coach Shah Rukh Khan, he gives a speech, a message to all the team members, players, before the final match of the game, final match of that tournament in Olympics. Okay, and that speech which he has given, it is very nice. And actually, that speech, it is taken from autobiography of Kapil Dev, when in 1983, when India won the first World Cup of cricket in 1983. In India had won the first World Cup. At that time, the speech which was given by Kapil Dev to his team members, it was written by Kapil Dev, and same speech it is taken in that movie, and that speech is very nice. And in that speech, the coach or the captain, you can say, he talks with his other team members and he tells them that already we have come up to the finals, even as underdogs, means it is our small one only. Even though we lose the match or win the match, there is nothing to lose. We don't have anything. We have come up to the final. We have reached the finals. It is just an achievement for us. And even if we will lose, we will take something today from here. And don't play to win or to lose, but to create history today, because we are going to create history today. And in this way, the speech is very long. In short, the important points I have told you from the speech. And in this way, he motivates all other team members. So, in the same way, you have to motivate your team members to play with that strong team. The points which can you can use pointing out the team's strong points, the opponents, means your opposite, the team who is playing, their weak points, how can you win with them? The practice you have done, hard practice to win the match. Okay. And on the various occasions, sometimes, luck also matters in these games. Sometimes unexpectedly you have won the matches. That's why even today you can win the match if the luck is with you. Yesterday also we have seen Tokyo Olympics are going on, and Indian women team has qualified for semi-finals, and it is a great victory for us. Even PV Sindhu, she has got 2 medals. So many players from India, they are doing very well in the Tokyo Olympics also. So you can give various examples for this to boost your team. So in this way, you have to write some motivating words, lines, which you can use to motivate your team members. Okay. Now, third activity. I hope you have understood what to write. Third activity which is given here is related to grammar. Third activity you can see on my screen. It is about adding different prepositions to the same verb, same action verb, and which changes the meaning of the phrases which are formed by addition of that preposition. The one which is given is in your course book is call. The verb call is given there. First of all, verb means action word. The word which shows action. For example, come, go, sit, call, write, etc. This is main verb. Action word it is called. The verb which is given here in your book is call. And the preposition which are used, the prepositions which are used with the same verb are underlined there in your book. You can see there on page number 28. The prepositions which are given are out, at, for, up, off. These are the prepositions which are given in your course book. With the addition of these prepositions, the meaning automatically changes. We get different meanings with the same verb. For example, even though the verb is same, call, the verb is same, everywhere you can see. But when we add different prepositions with the same verb, at that time we get different meaning. Every time we get different meaning with the same verb by adding different preposition. For example, call out, first one which is given. To call out means to announce. No, announcement on platform, railway station, etc. Announcement. To announce something. The meaning which is given. Call out means to announce. Second one which is given is call at. Call at. To call at means visit. To visit. To visit means what? To visit a doctor. To visit a school. To visit a zoo. Like this. To call at. Third one, the meaning is with the phrase which is given is call for. To call for. To call for means summon. Summon means to gather. To gather. To call, to summon means to gather. Fourth one which is given is summon means, okay, I'll tell you in detail. Summon, gather means what? To gather means to call all the students, to gather all the students at one place. If you want to tell something, you can call all the students at one place and you can give the instructions. It is called as summon, to summon them, to gather them. The next word which is used, the phrase which is used is to call up. To call up means to make a telephonic call, to call someone. To call someone, the regular meaning which we use, normal meaning which we use, to call, to make a call, to call someone and to talk with them, to call your friend, to call your dad, to call your mom, like this. Call up, to make a telephonic call, mobile call, like this. Next, last meaning which is given here is call off. O-double-F, off. Call off means what? To cancel something. To cancel something. Suppose you are planning for a picnic and suddenly you called off. To call off means to cancel that. To cancel. This is the last meaning which is given here. On my screen you can see some more examples I have given. See, from preposition. With the preposition from form, different verbs are used and the meaning changes. For example, to borrow from. To borrow means to take something from somebody. For example, can I borrow a hammer? Can I borrow a pen from you? Like this. Second one is to deter from. To deter from means please deter your children from walking across busy avenues. Like this. The sentence is given. Deter from. Choose from. You can choose from a wide range of vehicles to select. Distinguish from. It was hard to distinguish one twin from the other to find out. Come from. I come from France. Come from. To travel. Differ from. People differ from one another in their ability to handle stress. ability differ from, distract from. Please distract him from the television. To distract, to divert. Last one is escape from. The convicted murderer, assassinated, escaped from a high security prison. Escaped from, ran away. So these are some of the phrases. Even you can see some of the prepositions which are used with the verbs. For example, to, preposition to is given. List of some verbs are given here. Talk to, listen to, speak to, etc. List of the preposition with for, wait for, ask for, apply for, blame for, etc. The preposition from, suffer from, recover from, borrow from, escape from, graduate from, etc. Preposition with at, smile at, stare at, aim at, look at, etc. Preposition on with different verbs. For example, agree on, comment on, concentrate on, depend on, etc. So these are some of the verbs, verb prepositions which are used with different verbs. In the next activity, if you'll see on page number 28, see the see the definition which is given on page number 28 with phrasal verb. Phrasal verb. In that box, in the end of the page, if you'll see in that box in your course book, something is given. What is that? Even on my screen, you can see the same. It is given about phrasal verb. What do you mean by phrasal verb? Phrasal verb means what? A phrase. Phrasal verbs. A phrase. A phrasal verb is a verb which is made up of main verb together, main verb with an adverb or preposition. Main verb with an adverb or preposition. Combination. Main verb addition with adverb or preposition. When you add adverb or preposition with the main verb, it becomes a phrasal verb. Now in detail, see, if you'll see in your course book, 3 groups are given. 3 sets are given. In each set, 1, 2, 3, 3 sets are given. In each set, 3 sentences are given. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, and D. Fourth, in fourth one, 4 are given. Third one, in third one, 4 sentences are given. In first set, 3 sentences are given. And in those sentences, the phrasal verbs are underlined. And these phrasal verbs, they carry different meanings. These phrasal verbs, they carry different meanings in the sentence. The first one, A, he promised to look into the matter. Second sentence, he asked me to look for his lost book. And in third sentence, I shall look forward to your arrival. If you see, in these phrasal verbs, in this sentence is the phrasal verbs which are underlined: to look into, to look for, look forward. The phrasal verbs which are underlined, they carry different meanings. They carry different meanings. When you add a preposition or adverb with the main verb, it becomes a phrasal verb. For example, the preposition into is added with the main verb to look. And when you add a preposition with the main verb, for example, to look into, the meaning is actually, which is used in this sentence is to investigate. He promised to look into the matter. He promised to look into the matter. To look into means the meaning which is given here is to investigate, find out the truth, to investigate. The second sentence, in the second sentence, the meaning which is given, the phrase with the phrasal verb, he asked me to look for his lost book. If we'll see the sentence, note down the meanings, students. He asked me to look for his lost book. If you see, the phrasal verb in this sentence is to look for. To look is the main verb is same, common, but the preposition here which is used in this phrasal verb is for. We have added for with the main verb and the meaning automatically changes. In this sentence, the meaning of the phrasal verb to look for is to search. The meaning is to search. You have to write down the meaning in your course book or notebook. To search. He asked me to look for his lost book. Means what? He asked me to search about his lost book. To search his lost book, textbook, course book, notebook, etc. Like this. It is second meaning. The third one, the third meaning in the third sentence is I shall look forward to your arrival. I shall look forward to your arrival. Now in this third sentence, if you see, the verb is same, look. Adverb is used with this verb, forward. The adverb which is used forward is the meaning changes. I shall look forward to your arrival. The meaning is to wait eagerly, to wait for somebody. I shall wait for your arrival, like this. I shall wait eagerly to your arrival. The meaning is like this. In set 2, in second set, 3 sentences are given. The verb which is used here is broke. The verb which is used is broke. And the phrasal verbs are broke out, broke into, and broke up. In first sentence, see, an epidemic of cholera broke out in the village. Now in this sentence, the meaning to broke out means to start. Suddenly start. Sudden start. The meaning is sudden start. Okay. An epidemic, pandemic you can say, just like corona is going on now. In the same way, an epidemic of cholera broke out in the village. Suddenly started in the village, like this. I hope you are understanding, getting what I'm saying. You have to note down the meaning. A sudden start. In second sentence, the thieves broke out the locked house. The thieves broke into the locked house. The meaning of this phrase is broke into. The broke into. The meaning is to enter. The meaning is to enter. The meaning is to enter. Okay. To enter. If you see the sentence, the thieves broke into the locked house. So the meaning to enter is used here with the phrasal verb. The thieves to enter the locked house, they broke the keys, lock, illegally, forcibly. They broke the door. They broke. Okay. In third sentence, they broke up their friendship. You know this meaning very well. Breakup, you know. Hmm? To break up means to stop a relationship, friendship, etc. They broke up their friendship. Now in this sentence, the meaning is ended, to end, to end, to end. Okay. If you'll see the sentence, they broke up their friendship, means they ended, they stopped their relationship, their friendship. They broke up their friendship. So you will notice that even though the verb is same, when we add different prepositions or adverbs with the same verb, automatically the meaning changes. Okay, I hope you have noted the meaning. Now third set, see the sentences. The verb which is used is carry. The verb is not underlined here, but actually the verb is carry. And the phrases which are used: carry out, carry on, carried off, carry forward. Carry out, carry on, carried forward, and carry forward. These are the phrasal verbs which are used in the sentences. We'll see the meanings. We'll see the meanings now. See, first one, you must carry out your duty faithfully. You must carry out your duty faithfully. Faithfully means honestly. Okay. Now the word, the meaning of the phrasal verb which is used in the first sentence is to carry out means to complete, to execute, to complete. You must carry out means you must complete your duty honestly. Everyone should do their duties honestly. Carry out means to complete, to execute. Okay, note down the meaning. Second one, please carry on with your work. Please carry on with your work. Suppose your class is going on and the teacher, he is teaching you something. He has told you to write down something, and suddenly an urgent work, or somebody has called him, or some parents had come to visit him for just a second, for just a minute. He excuse himself from you. He can say, please carry on with your work. I'll come in 1 minute, or I'll continue in 1 minute, like this. So please carry on. Carry on means to continue. The meaning is to continue with your work, like this. The third sentence, the verb, phrasal verb is which is used is carried off. Carried off. See the meaning. They carried off the trophy in the football matches. OWF off. The meaning which is used here is to win. Carried off means to win, to win. WON, to won. WON means past tense of win, won. They carried off the trophy in the football matches, means they won the trophy in the football matches, like this. The meaning is to won. To won, WON, I repeat. Okay. Past tense of win. In the last sentence, you can see carry forward the remaining balance to the next page. Carry forward the remaining balance to the next page. It is used in the sentence is related to banking or some account session. Okay. To carry forward means to transfer, to transfer, to transfer. TRANSFER. Transfer, to transfer. To transfer the account, the remaining balance, continue on the next page. On the next page, you have to continue. You have to transfer the same account remaining, okay, balance sheet, to carry forward the remaining balance to the next page. So this is how the phrasal verbs are used. Okay. Verbs, even though the verbs are same, when you add a preposition or an adverb with the same verb, automatically the meaning changes. So here we have completed the warming up section on page number 28. I hope all of you have understood these activities. See, first of all, first activity which we discussed was about the old weapons, the weapons which were used in olden time. On my screen you can see. Then the weapons which were used in the modern times. After that, in second activity, I told you about the motivational speech, okay, which can be used for to motivate your teammates. Third one, we have seen about phrasal verbs. Okay, now we'll come to the topic 1.5, Joan of Arc. You can see it is a play. If you see, it is a play. First of all, we'll see. First of all, we'll see. First of all, we'll see the introduction. Introduction of the writer. See, Joan of Arc. You can see on my screen also and in your textbook also. It is written by George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw. He was born on 26 July 1856 in Ireland. In Ireland. And died on 2nd November 1950 in England. 2nd November 1950 in England. He is known at his insistence simply as Bernard Shaw. He is known as the name Bernard Shaw. Full name is George Bernard Shaw. He was an Irish playwright because he was born in Ireland. He was an Irish playwright, critic, and even he was a political activist included in politics, political activist. His influence on Western theatre, culture, and politics extended from the 1880s up to his death and beyond that also. Means his mark, his influence was even after his death on the theatres, on the Western theatres, cultures, political parties, etc. He wrote many more than 60 plays. He has written so many plays, more than 60, including including some major works such as Man and Superman. It was very famous, written in 1902. Then Pygmalion. This is also very famous play, Pygmalion, 1912, written in 1912. And Saint John. Today's article, today's play, which is taken, Saint John. In 1923, it was written in 1923 with a range incorporating both contemporary satire and historical allegory. Means the style of writing which has used was both contemporary, old one, and historical allegory, historical background also. Shaw became the leading dramatist of his generation. In his generation, he was very famous dramatist who was writing dramas. And in 1925, he was awarded by the Nobel Prize in Literature. You can see it is the highest prize which is considered in all over the world. So he was awarded by the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925 before his death. So from that you can imagine that he was a great writer. His life or his works you can imagine. Now present play drama, it is about a character Joan of Arc. Now before beginning, before we start this play, I would like to tell you some important details about this play. What is the important history, means important detail points, history related to this drama, so that you will understand the drama. If you understand the background, only then you can understand the drama. Okay, because some part it is taken, very few points are taken, one small part. Okay, so it is difficult to understand. First of all, I will tell you the characters which are used in the play, in the drama. See the characters on my screen, you can see. First character which is given is Robert. If you'll see page number 29, the play, the drama begins with the first dialogue, which is said by Robert. Now, who is Robert? Robert is the captain of the army. He is the captain of the army. Second character which is taken here is Steward. Now, he is junior military officer. He is junior military officer. Steward is junior military officer. The main character in the drama is Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. Next character which is taken in the drama is Polengi. Name is Polengi. His full name is Monsieur de Polengi. And after that, the next character is which is taken is Dauphin. Dauphin is the oldest son of the King of France. He is the oldest son of the King of the France. Now, if you see the characters, the names, even though they are little bit different one, it is related to the French people. The history behind this drama is a war had been taken place. The war had been taken place for 100 years. For 100 years, you can imagine 100 years war. It took place between France and England from 1337 to 1453. From 1337 to 1453, this war had taken place. 100 years war. It is very famous. It is called as 100 years war. The war took place between France and England. The war started on 24th May 1337. 24th May 1337 and ended on 19th October 1453. 19th October 1453. It was 116 years, 4 months, 3 weeks and 4 days war. So you can imagine 116 years, 4 months, 3 weeks and 4 days. Now this war, it was a series of conflicts between Europe, England and France. Series of conflicts in Europe. It started waged between the house of Plantagenet, which rulers of the kingdom of England, who were the rulers of kingdom of England, and the house of Valios, who were the right to rule the kingdom of France. The house, it started waged between the house of Plantagenet, rulers of kingdom of England, and the house of Valios. The house of Valios. Okay, the rule to make the kingdom of France. Each side, means England and France, each side drew so many allies into the war. So many people, soldiers, they drew into the war. It was one of the most notable conflicts, war of the Middle Ages, in which 5 generations of kings, you can say, took part in this war. 5 generations of kings, they took part from two rival dynasties, means two big rival opposite dynasties, kingdoms, France and England. Those who fought for the throne of the largest kingdom in Western Europe. They fought for to become a king, largest king of the largest kingdom in Western Europe. It is common to divide the war between 3 phases. The war is divided, these 100 years war, it is divided in 3 phases. First phase is Edwardian War. Edwardian War. It started from 1337 to 1360. Second phase is divided in Caroline War, 1369 to 1389. And the last phase is divided in Lancastrian War. Lancastrian War. It started from 1415 and ended in 1453, last phase. In the end, the House of Valios, means French people, they retained the French throne, and the English and French monarchies remained separate, both of them. The result of the war, you can say, in the end, the House of Valios retained the French throne, and English and French, England and France monarchies remained, both of them, they remained separate. So this was the history of the war. Because of time limit, I have to stop here today only. Today I have to stop here only. Okay. So I have told you the characters, history of the war. Tomorrow, in detail, we will see the summary and the play, the drama. What is the drama? First of all, it was important to discuss the historical background. That's why I have told you the historical background of this war. The characters, so that you will understand. Only just you will read, will not understand. It is difficult to understand. That's why I have told you the history. After this, in next lecture, in tomorrow's session, we'll continue the next part, that is the remaining lesson. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Very nice PPT, very nice explanation, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Shall I stop, ma'am?
Yes, sir.